Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Well, in this video I'm going to share with you Hodor's latest XRP blog titled Financial Evolution. And if you've been listening to my channel for a little while, you'll know that I'm obviously a huge fan of Hodor. And I always look forward to his blogs coming out. Typically he releases one every 3-4 days, sometimes 5 days, whatever it may be. So pretty darn regularly. And, you know, the only trouble I have, and it's not a problem in and of itself, but they're so comprehensive. It's a great opportunity to kind of review, get a quick roundup for what's going on in the world of crypto, Ripple, and XRP. But for the sake of video recording, I can only cover portions of it. Otherwise, I'd have an outrageously long video. So that's my own personal challenge when covering this. But nonetheless, I think it's just fantastic content that he's putting out here. Before I dig in there, I want to share this. This is also from Hodor. He just kind of retweeted this. So he writes, "What's cooler than glow-in-the-dark stickers?" And yes, indeed, somebody has created XRP glow-in-the-dark stickers. And so I've never bought from this platform, but I found it cool enough I wanted to share it with you. So apparently if you go to crypto-stickers.com, you can find those. So if anybody's interested, feel free to take a look. And again, I don't have any experience with the vendor or anything like that. I just like to highlight stuff that I think is kind of snazzy. And that falls under the category of gosh darn snazzy. So before we get going here, though, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. All right, time to get into this. So again, this is titled Financial Evolution. There was one startling conclusion I've arrived at while watching the crypto market since I first began trading in 2013. Money, and finance itself, reflects the current state of humanity and its social and cultural changes. It's a type of evolution, in my opinion. Even as ancient peoples first learned to use tools 1 million years ago, there was the concept of trading to obtain necessary resources. Over the years, the nature of finance changed, and humanity still struggles with the role that money, private property, and resources should play in our day-to-day lives. Just 25 years ago, the only organization that was authorized to provide a personal loan was a bank of some kind. Short of earning and saving money, that was the only official channel to obtain credit and capital. But even if in those pre-decentralization days, there were informal, back-channel financial dealers, neighborhood loan sharks, or, hopefully, an amenable relative with extra resources. Looking back now, of course, we can all see the missed opportunities of the time. There was no such thing as the sharing economy, and companies like Omni and Uber, there were no peer-to-peer loans, there was no crowdfunding, whether in a centralized or decentralized model. And even now, bank transfers take days, while sending a meme to your friend in Australia can be done in seconds. The evolution of finance is going to happen. The public now has an appreciation for how much technology can help to provide additional financial opportunities, not just for obtaining credit, but for unlocking hidden value in unused personal assets or vehicles. And digital assets provide a way for individuals to store their personal property securely, away from the sticky hands of those that would take it without your permission. With the advent of censorship-resistant digital assets like XRP, there is no gray area anymore for personal property rights. With digital assets, they are absolute and cannot be removed from you unless that person or entity obtains your secret key. You can't argue with this technology. You can't negotiate with it. Code does what it is programmed to do. And in the case of decentralized digital assets, the code is programmed to safeguard currency with absolute mathematical certainty. First, humanity experimented with wasteful proof-of-work cryptocurrency that cannot scale, and takes over an hour to confirm a probabilistic settlement. Yay, Bitcoin, right? This early experiment, Bitcoin, eventually evolved into the next generation of digital assets. Years later, a small group of cryptography experts and programmers created XRP to overcome the limitations that plagued these earlier tries at decentralized cryptocurrency. The fastest, most scalable, most secure, most reliable digital asset was born. The future is here. Decentralized finance is on the horizon. Peer-to-peer lending is happening. And XRP is being used as a bridge asset to convert currencies from one fiat value to another. Evolution doesn't ask permission. It will happen regardless of whether we want it to or not. And luckily for those of us that own XRP, our championing organizations are packed with professionals that understand this concept enough to form business plans around it. What will the future of personal finance look like? It will involve sending payments as easily as sending a text message. It will involve being paid on a minute-by-minute basis rather than every 2 weeks. It will involve sharing your personal property for profit. It will involve building stable value over time and storing your wealth in a way where it cannot be taken from you without your permission. The evolution of money and finance is accelerating, and there's only one digital asset fast enough to pace this change. XRP. Beautifully written. That is absolutely fantastic there. And true enough, XRP indeed is the only cryptocurrency that is being positioned to solve the problem that Ripple seeks to solve, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency for cross-border payments. And it's just amazing to me, kind of, that nobody else is even trying to do what Ripple is doing. Is that not fascinating just in and of itself? I mean, you talk about competitors of Ripple, it's like, who? Like Swift? Well, okay, fine, yes, quite literally, technically, but Swift isn't exactly trying to solve the same problem that Ripple is. Ripple's seeking to solve a settlement problem. Swift is pretending the problem doesn't exist. And there's no other blockchain payments crypto firm, period, trying to do what Ripple is doing and to actually solve the settlement problem. It's just so genuinely fascinating to me. So, of course, given that businesses will need XRP to make that happen, there should be, and is, and probably will forever be a market value of XRP. I think it's going to be here to stay. Probably fair to say here. Let me skip past the general crypto news. Just scroll down. Yeah. I like to keep this. I'm going to try and keep this as XRP centric as possible, even though I did enjoy reading through that, though. Check out Ripple news here. Okay. He doesn't often write blogs for Ripple. I can only think of 2 instances. But anyway, but when he does, they tend to be noteworthy and quotable. And normally, David Schwartz uses pen and paper to eloquently express his own informed opinion. His latest blog was published on September 24th. He emphasized improvements to the XRP ledger and surrounded it with observations about the larger crypto market participants, sprinkling in astute comparisons to obsolete proof-of-work networks like Bitcoin. Here are a few quotes where I found myself nodding in agreement. The ongoing debates regarding the proper paths for decentralized digital assets and blockchain technologies cripple the speed of innovation. Amid these debates, we've lost sight of what decentralization actually means, and more importantly, we've confused the true purpose and value different assets and blockchain technologies offer for solving different real-world problems. For these new technologies to have lasting impact, we as an industry must begin to recognize the value their inherent differences offer, embrace ways to interoperate between blockchains, and think less about our fiefdom and more about what we all set out to achieve in the first place: incorruptible digital ledger systems that record transactions in sequence for anything deemed valuable. And then Hodor writes, and then later describing some of the benefits of how the XRP ledger resists censorship. And here's another quote from David Schwartz now. No single entity can decide which transactions succeed or fail, and no one can alter a transaction after it is added to the ledger. As a result, no transaction submitted to the XRP ledger has ever been discriminated against or censored, unlike proof-of-work systems where the transactions executed in each block are solely determined by the preferences of a single miner. And then the piece continues here. It was this statement that seemed to resonate with many in the crypto market. Proof-of-work's reliance on centralized, third-party miners, primarily based in China, has started to surface as a broad concern in the industry and by stakeholders who remain too skeptical to use the aging network. And the remaining early investors in Bitcoin that count themselves as maximalists have now had to market Bitcoin as a store of value, which is one of the most dangerous assumptions that buyers of Bitcoin can make, that it will keep going up in value due only to its scarcity. My own view mirrors that of Brad Garlinghouse, who has stated that the long-term value of a digital asset must be based on its utility. Buying a digital token that's seldom used for real commerce and that takes over an hour to confirm what are extremely expensive transactions is not a viable long-term strategy for growth or even retention of value. It boggles my mind how some people actually believe in this store of value use case. I see it for what it is, the last desperate market attempt by the few remaining Bitcoin maximalists to try and convince more members of the public to purchase a clearly obsolete cryptocurrency. And, I got to tell you, this is the first instance I can recall where I have seen Hodor speak his mind on, in terms of the concept of store value for Bitcoin. If you've listened to me for a while, you know my stance is that I'm highly skeptical of Bitcoin being able to maintain its, viewed as a store, to actually be a store of value, because I think that utility matters. I keep saying this again and again and again. I just, if you can imagine a world where it's accepted quite widely that cryptocurrencies are indeed here to stay. I don't care if it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. Enough time passes and people are like, okay, yes, obviously cryptocurrency is here to stay, which is coming. The time's going to pass, and then there will just be a broad acceptance of it. Okay, it'll just become, once enough time passes, you will be viewed eventually as an idiot if you think that the asset class is going away. We're not there yet. It's been 10 years and we should be there, but I don't think we're there yet. But, in terms of store value, so if a cryptocurrency is being used, that will give confidence in investors that it makes sense to park your money there. Because, think about XRP, it has to be used, it has to continue to exist since businesses need it to conduct their business models, right? Perfectly reasonable. So people can invest, and it can be a store of value also. So if you're going to throw your money in, and you know that a cryptocurrency must have staying power because it's actually being used, versus Bitcoin, which is being used for nothing, where will you feel safer putting your money? Think about it. So I am absolutely 100% on board with this concept right here of utility winning the day, certainly, but also Bitcoin. I am highly skeptical of its staying power in any real capacity. It's just it could be around for a very long time though, because and have massive value. It could go massively up in the meantime because people haven't figured this all out, But all good things in times. Anyway, he continues here. Bitcoin deserves respect as the first decentralized cryptocurrency, but it is clearly far past time for the world to move on to a better base layer for fulfilling the original vision communicated in the Satoshi white paper. Here's the closing paragraph from David Schwartz. So here's a quote. With unique speed, reliability, and scalability, XRP and the XRP ledger are built to foster continued innovation across the industry. Improvements to address resource consumption and increase the ledger's robustness and attack resistance are in the works. The community is working to release a continued stream of new features aimed at supporting micropayments and emerging decentralized finance use cases. And here we go. And actually, I tell you, Hodor, and I mentioned this somewhat recently, Hodor is the first person that mentioned the concept of decentralized finance that I personally had seen. I'm sure it had been discussed in other circles, this and that. I'm still learning, though. I just hadn't heard about it until, I don't know, when he brought it up first, and I saw it, it was 1 or 2 months ago, something like that. And the concept was rather fascinating to me. And then we find out that Ripple's Spring initiative is indeed positioning XRP in the world of decentralized finance. So check this out here. I think this is the section I was looking for. Here you go. New Spring investment, Logos. On September 27th, Ripple announced that they'd invested in a new company called Logos. And then here's Ethan Beard, Ripple employee. Our Ripple New York team continues to grow. At Logos Payments joined Spring to focus on DeFi and XRP. The Logos team and project are quite fascinating, and it's obvious that their team is knowledgeable about how to accelerate BFT-type agreement protocols. Their own project, collectively known as Logos, is more like to XRP than it is to proof-of-work systems, and their white paper indicated that the novel approach had resulted in very low latency for Logos transactions. In addition to very low latency, their white paper also makes some startling claims about throughput that are difficult to believe. One speculative sentence that describes benefits of sharding threw out a theoretical number of 100,000 transactions per second. The blog linked by Ethan Beard indicated that the team was shutting its doors permanently to work for Ripple as part of the Spring empire of companies and projects that are actively building the Internet of Value. Beard's blog contains some exciting details about the new project. And here's a quote. As part of Spring, the Logos team will be leading an ongoing initiative to explore a decentralized financial, DeFi, system that will leverage XRP at its core. It was an exciting revelation and continued to build on prior investments that Ripple has been methodically making to edge quietly into the decentralized finance space ahead of its competitors. Another interesting twist, the new DeFi team at Spring will work out of Ripple's New York offices instead of San Francisco. Of course, in this new world of virtual work, the actual physical location of work is less important than results. In any event, it's a unique fact accompanying this latest Spring investment. All right, let me go a little bit further. I'm going to skip through. He talks about the UK financial regulations, but I covered that pretty in-depth rather recently, so I think I'm going to go scroll through that. I know that there was some other stuff. I'll just mention this. There are two new banks. I covered this as well. There are two new banks announced as Ripple customers, Shinhan Bank ENG and Worry Bank. Right there, and it just popped up on the Ripple. There wasn't even an announcement. Like it just popped up on the Ripple website when they updated the layout of the whole thing, which is kind of fascinating. But rather big banks. Let me go down here. Did I want to cover this? Maybe I did. Quidex. Okay. So this is an exchange. So I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's Quidex. It's QUIDAX. You tell me how to say it. They first added support for XRP in August of 2018. It's headquartered in Malta, but specializes in connecting crypto with those that live in Nigeria, Africa. On September 23rd, a media and consulting company, Nairametrics, published an article about Quidex, which includes an interview with the CEO, Buchi Okoro. It contained a fascinating origin story that revealed what prompted the CEO to start an exchange. And here's the quote. Excuse me. We started initially with the crude, so it seemed at the time, idea of organizing a WhatsApp group where people bought and sold crypto between themselves. This was in 2016. At some point, it was like, oh, this is something, and we sat down to do the math. People were moving serious numbers through that group. It was at that point we knew there was demand for a reliable and seamless way to buy and sell cryptocurrency. And the piece continues. The exchange targeted this market of expatriates and Nigerian natives and boasts 4 pairings with the Naira. I'm not sure if it's Naira or Naira, actually. I don't know how to say it, sorry. The official national currency of Nigeria. The article also hinted at expansion plans for the exchange. And here's a quote. In about 3 weeks, we will be launching our mobile app, but sometime before then, we will be kicking off a partnership with a liquidity provider. The most exciting part of next month is that we will be entering into some partnerships that would change the face of crypto remittance in Africa. And then Hodor continues here, because that's obviously interesting. It's an interesting update from the exchange, and perhaps the team will be able to expand to other nations on the continent, as they indicated in their plans. Africa is an important area to consider when it comes to remittances, as there are many expatriates working in other countries, either on other continents or within other countries on the same continent. And so, you know what that got me thinking about was just XRP one day, because you're going to need these corridors. That's why it's fascinating that you don't even have, not only are certain, most cryptocurrencies exchanges not XRP enabled today, it's early days, but we don't even have cryptocurrency exchanges everywhere that we need and sufficiently utilizing XRP in terms of buying and selling anyway. And then even if you did, it's still liquid. So it's just, man, early days. I hope that you can appreciate how early you are to the party as you sit here listening to me say this today in 2019. I'm appreciative of this. Some people are scared, and the prices of cryptocurrencies or XRP in general. Some people are more confident than others. And I get it, we don't technically know where everything's going and when, but I am Mr. XRP Bull for a reason. I have informed myself of what is actually developing here, and I find it to be completely astonishing here. I'm going to need to wrap up the video here, but I will mention this one. So there's the SynPay, and I did cover this recent also. They're an international remittance processor established in 2005 that has offices in UK, France, and Spain. It's a medium-sized payment processor that has handled over $5 billion in payments since inception. The company joined RippleNet in April of this year and reported that they were using Xcurrent, Ripple's messaging software that replaces the functionality of a legacy Swift system, of course. Let me scroll down here. So on September 25th, the company released a video of an interview with Bhavin Vaghela, the head of product innovation at Rational Group, which owns SendPay. Okay, the results conveyed by Bhavin Vakela emphasized how the astonishing cost and time savings from Ripple technology has transformed SendPay's business. Software integration time 4 weeks, and reduction in processing time by 99%. That is astonishing, is it not? So that's the highlight of what I wanted to cite there. Man, I'm going to have to wrap this video up. I know it's getting too long here, and people don't tend to like that. So I do try and watch it now. It's been made clear to me. Let me cover this last little piece here. I do like this. So I've talked to you about Ken Melendez. He's an XRP community member. He's the one that's writing the XRP book. I believe it's called Exploring XRP, if memory is serving me, and it's supposed to be out later this year. So check this out, because he cited, Ken Melendez is cited here. So there's a subheading titled Coil. When people try something new, support from other like-minded individuals can make a huge difference in overcoming fear and frustration. It's also convenient to be able to ask others questions as they arise. Beyond the obvious benefits to convenience and morale, joining a group can enhance the experience and enrich it, changing what would ordinarily be a solitary activity, which is writing, into one that can involve multiple people. Ken Melendez decided to take a risk and form a new Telegram group on September 14th for the purpose of creating a club for writers who are giving the new Coil blogging platform a try. And here's a quote. The Coil Blogging Club, also known as the CBC, was founded with the intention of bringing the Coil blogging community closer together through hands-on support and encouragement. The club meets daily in an invite-only Telegram group and currently has over 20 members who have raised their hand to join. The purpose of the club is to provide a safe haven for content creators to share their thoughts, ideas, posts, and personal stories with one another. Another reason for the club is to help promote the use of Coil, a web-monetized blogging platform currently in beta testing. And then, let me scroll down a little bit further. So, in addition to his introduction to the group, Ken also shared a few testimonials from current Coil Blogging Club members, and they are impressive. He authors a periodic update on the group's activities and membership as well, called CBC Member Highlights. If you want to peek into the club prior to join the group, contact Ken directly on Twitter, as Telegram groups are by invitation only here. And so I think it's cool stuff, and I just really like highlighting what other XRP community members are doing. I think that we're all adding whatever it is that we can, whatever form of content you're putting out there, whether it's writing or YouTube or art or whatever it is. I like that it genuinely is an actual community, and we all seem to be really supportive of each other. So I'm always happy to plug people anywhere I can, especially when they start new projects like this. So I think it's cool stuff. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because of anything that I say or write, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!